Welcome to the Afterspin. Additional comments from our panelists just available on our website. I want to ask each of you, what do you wish you had said on last week's show, but you didn't? Joe Mavretic, I'll start with you.
Well, I had 5 terms that people ought to pay attention to. Religion, part of the Republican base and clearly an international issue. Race, that's what redistricting basically comes down to. Reciprocity, are we getting what we pay for in education and in our federal taxes? You know, I just paid my federal tax and my debt for the national debt, my percentage went up. Subsistence.
Welcome to the tax cut.
Yeah, I think from a subsistence point of view, I think the Social Democrats have to ask the question, how much is enough? What is the subsistence levels that we need to support in the United States? And lastly, justice. And I think we can talk about electing judges and whether it's fair in our court systems ad infinitum.
All right. Chris Fitzsimon, what do you wish you'd have said last week?
Well, we talked about the Gen X controversy and the fact that the State House unanimously passed a bill to try to help some, and the Senate didn't take it up. And we talked about whether or not it's political. I didn't have the chance to say I do believe that if DEQ wasn't controlled by a Democratic governor, the Senate would probably have been more likely to do this. But I want to make one more point, both on class size, which we talked about, and on Gen X. The State House, again, with a supermajority of Republicans, has seemed to take a far different position than the Senate. And I think what you're seeing is, not just on the policy, but I think some politics are at play. I think the House leadership is much more worried about 2018 at the moment. The Senate is being much more hardline about it. Maybe they're not as worried. Maybe that's their ideological belief. But I think that's going to continue to grow as we get closer to Election Day.
Interesting observation. John Hood, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, Tom, whenever I hear the term Gen X controversy, I assume this is about the entire generation trying to disown me as a too controversial representative of it. But what I wanted to say was a little bit more about class size. We talked about it briefly, but I just want to clarify very quickly what I believe the preponderance of the research suggests. There is benefit, particularly for kindergarten, first grade, maybe second grade, to have a much smaller class grouping. There's very little effect after that. And in fact, in some cases, you can see that larger classes in high school are on balance better than smaller classes. Why? Because you have a limited number of really, really good calculus teachers or physics teachers. And when you start adding additional teachers to reduce class size, you have the effect of, in some cases, substituting an okay teacher for a great teacher.
Or diluting the quality of
That's what I'm getting at. So
yeah.
There is a trade-off here, no matter how much money you spend. I mean, this is a dispute in the highest spending states in the country and the highest spending states in the world. There's a trade-off between how many people do you hire and the quality of the people that you hire. Quality is usually the best bet.
Interesting. Howard Lee, what do you wish you'd have said on last week's show?
Well, I certainly want to follow up on the class size question. It makes no difference what size the class is because the skill level of the students in that class are still challenging for one teacher to try and deal with the slow students versus the more talented kids. And I still think that our talented and gifted kids are being cheated because there's so much time being spent trying to get the low performers up so the school won't be given a bad grade.
So does that mean you would favor segregating the gifted students from those that aren't?
I'm very much in favor of that because I think learning groups and comparable learning groups can support each other and they can move on. I don't think we should be keeping kids in grades just because their age or some other factor that has no relevance. And I really think that we've got to get to the point of where we move these kids on who can do it and then give the attention to those who need it. And then one final point is I know there's some questions about the value of teacher assistants, but I think that was one way we could give the teacher some relief and have her freed up or him freed up to work on kids who need the attention.
Howard Lee, you've devoted a number of years to education. When you speak, I listen. Well, thank you for watching the After Spin. We'll have more video all during the week on ncspin.com.